everybody. We've got Hal with IgniteNet here, and you guys have heard quite a bit about their 60 gig stuff, and they've got some of that here. And so Hal, why don't you take us around your booth and tell us what you've got here?
Sure, Mike. Thanks for the interview, and I'm happy to show you around. So I'll start over here. We have one of our cable partners. I'll start with the cable. This is some outdoor cable. So this one is actually copper plus fiber, and this will be important later when we talk about SFPs.
I'm sure ask about those.
Before we get into the outdoor stuff, though, I'll talk about some of our indoor products. So we have cloud-managed wireless, like indoor Wi-Fi access points as well. They range from single radio, dual band concurrent, 11 AC, AC 750, small, cute, multiple ports. And then they go all the way up to AC 1900, many ports, SFP.
There's SFP, and it's even labeled as such.
It is. 5 gigabit ports, and this is basically an enterprise access point. Very flexible. You can do many things. If you go to our website, you can see what our cloud features are. One thing to note about our cloud, so our cloud controller, it's optional for all of our products, but all of our products can support working on the cloud. So for example, if you're a managed services provider, system integrator, and you want to do managed Wi-Fi services, you can sign up for our cloud service. It's a low cost, $99 a year. You can have unlimited sites, unlimited devices. So there's nothing to install, nothing to maintain, and you can even brand it as your own company. So the main goal is to make it easy for people to do managed services. They focus on getting customers and not on doing patches on servers and stuff like that. We do all the hosting and everything. So moving on, we have switches as well now. We're just starting to switch to ship this 24-port PoE switch. So this is 24 gigabit ports, 4 10 gig SFP ports, SFP plus. And then we have our first fiber switch as well, 24 port fiber switch, 10 gig uplinks. And then the SFP is kind of interesting. We can support any sort of standard SFP. So like this one is a BiDi fiber SFP. We can also support, for example, this one. This is a VDSL SFP. So you can convert this into sort of whatever you want. It could be sort of a DSLAM. It can be a fiber base station. You can also put 1 gig copper Ethernet ports in there too. So anything that supports SFP. And this can be powered with AC or with DC. It supports some extended temperature ranges.
Okay, yeah, I do like on the switches, normally when you have a 24 port switch, it'll only have 2 10 gig uplinks. I like to see 4 because then that's, you can do line rate and you can still pass through.
Exactly.
And actually, like I heard you mention it before, but I didn't really think to ask much questions on it until now. On that VDSL SFP, in our Slack chat, we've got with all the other different guys in the Brothers WISP, we've been talking about VDSL SFPs lately.
Really? Cool.
And so that one will operate on either side of the
Yes,
dial?
So there are 2 different models. One is for the CO side and one is for the remote side.
Okay.
So it supports, the remote side can be a standard VDSL CPE, it's VDSL 2+. But you can also do LRE long reach Ethernet by putting the CO on one side and the other one on the other side. So roughly speaking, you can go 100 meg full duplex at 400 meters. You can go as far as up to 3 kilometers.
Okay.
Of course, after 3 kilometers, I mean, you're at pretty low data rates, but it still can maintain a connection.
Right.
This one can support 1 pair, so two wires, but you can add more if you have more available. It'll make it a more robust and longer distance, higher speed.
Okay.
So 1 pair, 2 pair, 4 pair.
Okay. And then do those SFPs only work in your devices?
Nope.
Or
you can use it in whatever. So should be a standard interface. We don't try to block anything.
Okay, that's I think just with the conversation we've had, I think a lot of people will be interested in just in that feature alone.
Yeah. We see it great for MDUs and applications like that. One of the reasons why this one has an SFP port, so a lot of our customers, they want to do managed wireless, like in retirement communities and stuff like that. So with the wiring infrastructure, maybe you don't have Ethernet there, you do have a pair. So you can combine the wireless with the SFP to do VDSL, feed this, and use this to do wirelessly serve several units then.
It won't be as fast, but
it'll be
functional and cheaper.
Exactly. So if it's 400 meters or whatever, typical, you're talking 100 meg. That's not bad, right, for a retirement community.
Yeah.
And then on the wireless side, we support a lot of nice features like dynamic Vlan, for example. So you can give accounts to, let's say this access point is serving 4 units. You give an account to the people in this unit that's separate than this one and this one. When they log in, anywhere on the premise, they're VLAN'd with their other people. So the one thing that we did run into is that a lot of things like Chromecast and Rokus and stuff like that, they don't support WPA2 Enterprise.
Right.
So to deal with those things, we also support dynamic VLAN assigned by radius based on MAC authentication. So you can still assign a WPA pre-shared key, and then based on the MAC address of the Roku or whatever, it would put it into the right VLAN.
Okay.
A lot of retirement communities, those people start to use Chromecast and Rokus and Sonos and all those things.
Okay.
None of them support WPA2 Enterprise.
But then yours does support the enterprise
if the client can support it, it'll do it.
Okay.
And it supports up to 8 SSIDs per radio, and you can do whatever you want with any of those.
Okay.
Any of that stuff.
I know that those things have been requested many times from different vendors, and it's nice to see that they're on the table.
Yeah. We hope everyone can try it. So now onto the outdoor. So on the outdoor side, these are a couple of our products. This is the large size of our 60 gigahertz Metrolink product. It has a 60 gigahertz radio as well as a 5 gigahertz radio integrated. It's a gigabit per second throughput aggregate, and that can be split up dynamically to whatever's needed. And then it basically has 2 copper ports. Next version will have copper and SFP direct.
Good.
To deal with the lack of the SFP today, we do have a soon-to-be shipping this month media converter, and this is compatible with other products as well, not just ours. But essentially, there's fiber and there's DC power in, which is kind of hard to see, but there's a screw terminal block here. And so if you put fiber and DC in, you get PoE out. If you put PoE in, you can get fiber and DC out.
That's nice that works both ways.
Bi-directional, exactly. So you can use it as point-to-point, and you can use the PoE injector, if there's enough power budget, you can use the PoE injector provided with the radio. So if you're using another vendor's radio, use their PoE injector, PoE in, you can use the Shireen cable to run basically this up, and then what you end up with at the top is to break it back into copper.
Okay.
For a short run, maybe not as much inductance from lightning and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, okay.
Until all of us get SFP ports on the radio.
I do like, there are a few manufacturers that have made media converter products the past couple years, and I don't believe any of them have had any slack storage in them. So it's nice to see you've got the little...
Yeah, this will ship with the media converter, so you can do strain relief and everything. And we have some oversized pass-through ports here for large jacketed stuff.
Okay.
But try not to let the spiders in, right?
Right.
So that's on this side. If you want, we can move this way. So this is the soon-to-be shipping at the beginning of April. This is the smaller size of the Metrolink. It's a little bit lower cost. The range is about 80% of this one. The absolute range of 60 gigahertz on these products is about 2.5 kilometers. However, there's rain fade, right? Or you need to deal with that. So depending on your rain zone, and we provide like a chart that shows, here's the map of the world, here's your rain zone, here's 5 nines, 4 nines, 3 nines. That's on our website. But if you want pure 60, you need to follow that closely. If you can use the 5 gigahertz backup in those times, you can extend that range to 3 nines or 4 nines, use 5 gig in those torrential downpours or whatever. Ports and everything wise, these are the same. So the large one and the small one, just the form factor. One thing I didn't mention over here is that we have 2 different brackets. There's a standard mounting bracket that ships with the product. There's an optional long-range bracket that you can use if you're doing longer distances. And if you don't mind, we can maybe pan back over. I'll spin this around. So this bracket is much more substantial and easier to fine tune. So for things like 1 kilometer, 1.5 kilometer, 2 kilometer lengths, this is the optional bracket that you'll want. It makes it a lot easier. The installer aiming scope mounts to the top temporarily during the installation to get it into the right place, and then when you're done, you take it off. So you only need these for the installation, and you don't need one per radio, right? So this is the LR bracket.
Okay.
And then back here, the standard bracket is like more or less a more traditional bracket, but it also can be wall mount or pole mount, so it has a lot of flexibility. The reason why the standoff is this far, and it's a very sturdy, once you mount it and lock it down, it's not moving. We understood that a lot of these would be installed at street level, and you need to be able to shoot up to the top of a building. So we wanted to have a huge range of motion to be able to go up. So that's the Metrolink 6019 centimeter. And then this one is an unannounced product that we won't announce still, but it has a lot of potential in 60 gigahertz in the future.
We'll let the viewers
yes
visually see it and figure out what it's going to be used for.
And it's a low profile. Yep. And this one initially will have 2 copper ports, and a next generation will be fiber and copper both. And then down here we have the Skyfire, which is a 5 gigahertz product.
Okay. That AC, I presume?
Yep, this one comes in a single radio, 5 gigahertz, as well as dual band concurrent, 2, 4, and 5 gig. It's flexible. We have, so potentially this product, for example, can be a 5 gigahertz backhaul and a 2.4 gigahertz access point.
Okay.
So if you're doing hotel Wi-Fi, or if you're doing a hotspot service in a park or something, you only have one model, one cable, instead of having to have 2 radios, one for backhaul and one for access.
Okay. Yeah, and then for the audience, it's easy for vendors to pay lip service to SFPs, but what they've talked about to me, primarily for their plans for how to use the SFPs, it goes much beyond why I want them, and so there's a genuine desire for them to have it in. It's not just me being a pain in the ass and them.
Of course.
Saying
So we see
do
a big future for hybrid fiber wireless. For example, the ability to do a trunk line of fiber, and be able to branch off of that fiber and do access for the last hundreds of meters, 800 meters. That gives you the ability to serve customers at a much lower price point, and more importantly, significantly faster than trenching to every home. Maybe you come back and trench to every home, but this gives you customer acquisition significantly sooner. And we can provide pretty much almost comparable plans, right? We're talking gigabit service.
Right.
Similar to the same capacities that you would get from a GPON. And with a roadmap that takes us to 10 gig, 40 gig, 100 gig on millimeter wave, it doesn't make sense that you have to do fiber.
Sure.
Some combination always can make sense.
Yeah. And then what on your roadmap can you say as far as you were talking about I don't know, for instance, earlier we were talking about the FCC working on additional 60 gigahertz.
Yep. So one thing that's out there now is the FCC has proposed a rulemaking to extend. So currently the 60 gigahertz band spans from 57 gigahertz to 64, and that falls right into the oxygen absorption range. So that has its pluses and its minuses. The minuses is that the range is limited to like 2 or 2.5 kilometers maximum. The plus is that you can reuse that frequency over and over and over, because the 60 gigahertz is absorbed by oxygen. How do we get longer ranges out of millimeter wave? Today the only answer is to go into E-band or licensed light. That's 70 and 80 gigahertz. The FCC has proposed to open up 64 to 71 gigahertz, which also would be out of the oxygen absorption band. So the advantage of that is that we'll have an unlicensed spectrum piece that behaves more like the 24 gigahertz band as far as range and rain fade. So what we'll end up with is a very large band, 15 gigahertz of spectrum that WISP can use to be able to provide service, split up into a short range high frequency reuse band, good for high density, good for urban, and then a longer distance one that also is good for urban, but gives you a little bit more distance. So that's what we're really excited about for our roadmap. And then what we see, again, back to hybrid fiber wireless, without talking specific products, we see a huge opportunity to do fiber and multi-point 60 gigahertz. So we think that's a very important part of our future as well, and for the market in general.
Yeah, I see a lot of use for that.
Yeah, sure.
But all right, anything else you want to go before we wrap this up, or are we good?
I think we're good.
All right.
I appreciate it.
This is the first video done with a tripod and an actual microphone, so
With
hopefully,
a rabbit's foot.
Yeah, with a rabbit's foot. So hopefully it's not shit.